are joined now by Mike Sautter of Hurrdat Sports. Mike, you should get a little stretch there. How you doing this morning?
I'm good. I'm great. I'm fired up today. Got a brand new shirt on today.
All I see is Neb and corn. What's on the bottom? Preps. There we go. Got the whole
I
picture.
said Joe Rome's in the house.
That's our mascot. You didn't know?
I did know. I was just giving you a hard time.
Sing along with me if you know the words.
I
said Joe Rome's in the house.
I don't know the
You
words.
didn't used to watch Martin?
No, not really.
Michael Jerome Sautter, how we doing, buddy?
He's too young for Martin, Damon.
Why are you putting young Jacob on the pullout?
There's only two options.
It's just real matter of fact too, right? Like, well, it's not gonna be me.
Yeah, I don't know if you knew that, but that ain't happening.
So how are things, man? Are you like locked in? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good. I was a lot disappointed yesterday.
Why? What happened?
Just fan behavior stuff, right? It was a lot.
Okay. Ravi,
outside of the fists being thrown, it was still a lot. Like there were like 8th graders in the front row of like the parent section last night that were like F everything the whole game.
I told you. So listen, I just got to take a second.
Okay.
So Ravi was asking me these questions about what happened with the reports with Scott, and I said, I said I don't know what happened. I said I'm just telling you, like, we're so quick to like be upset with kids, and kids do this, and kids say that, and kids 8th graders use the F word. Like that comes from somewhere, right? It's allowed somewhere. Like, and I told him, I said I'm not condoning the behavior. I'm not. But don't think just because it's parents or adults that like it's some sort of set aside or more disappointing. Like it's kind of becoming what it is, unfortunately, in some of these arenas.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if you've ever had a conversation with me outside of publicly like this, you know that I can curse and do a lot, right? But I'm not screaming that at other people, referees, players, other adults. Like that's not, it's just part of my like lexicon, how I talk, I guess. It is totally unacceptable for what I heard last night sitting 4 feet behind me for an entire game.
And they're on your back too.
Yeah, it was.
That's why I don't go. I don't know why you like that spot.
It was like F you baldy, F you, not just at me, right? It was like at the referees.
Guys unite.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. Like people talk about me, they can. I do not care. Like the worst part is it goes back to this, right? Like we're so, like you said, Damon, we're so quick to judge kids and their behavior and the entitlement, and they always need to be getting a medal or a ribbon, or they're always wanting something. No, it's not kids. It's you parents that want the 7th place ribbon so you can post it on your damn Facebook, like, or Instagram or whatever. Like, it's your fault. You're the problem. Like, kids are kids. They learn it from somewhere. I'm sorry. Like, it is so bad. It is so bad. How bad does it have to get where 2 grown men throw punches in the stands at each other because people can't stop yelling F whatever at officials or players or whatever it may be around kids? How bad is it? That's horrible. Like, it is absolutely unacceptable. There's no question about it. And I frankly said so, like, privately when I was sort of like, hey, wish you wouldn't have said anything publicly or whatever about this. I said, no, screw that. Like, the behavior's got to change. And the only way to make it change is to embarrass people for their behavior.
Now we kind of differ on that,
Mike
but I
Sautter here for public shaming.
I'm not gonna. The methodology is what it is, but I get what you want the desired outcome to be.
But okay, my voice, right? Like, I'll use my voice for that change for sure because I believe strongly in it.
I think it's wearing on the directors and stuff too.
100%.
That put on the events. I think those men and women are I think they're at wit's end.
Yeah,
I really do.
And it's, the respect the ref campaigns and all the things that people do. Like, man, like, save that. No one cares about that. Like, no one's paying attention to that. Clearly, all you got to do is open your ears.
And listen, and two things can be true at once, right? Like,
right.
Officials can need to be, but like I just was at a game where we got a bench warning 2 minutes into the game, right? Like that's
right.
That shouldn't happen, but that doesn't. But I didn't say a word. I mean, first of all, nobody can hear me, so who cares? But that
doesn't justify the behavior.
It doesn't justify the behavior, though, right?
Right.
For people to be mad at that, like, I mean, there's certain things we'd all like to do differently, and we can kind of see calls, no calls, but like just the amount of how brazen we are, whether it's through social media, whether it's in public, like there's just these parts of me sometimes where I was like, I would like consequences is maybe too strong a word, but I think people do it because they think they can. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they get away with it.
Right word. Because they feel like there's no consequences for their actions. When you feel like there's no consequences for your actions, it becomes a really, really dangerous place.
Like you're just trusting people to have kind of
to be better than that,
to have the moral compass pegged at this, whatever it is, and it's subjective to everybody.
Well,
though, right?
Here's something I don't think is subjective. Let's not swear at children. Let's start there. Is that okay? Like, let's not scream F-bombs at children playing a game. Is that okay? We can all agree on a place to start. Let's not scream obscenities at children playing a game. If that's outside of your moral compass, like, you can leave.
Let me ask you something, Mike, Ravi, because again, I try to be in the solutions business. How much, and again, this is not to condone behavior. We're going to try to figure out where this comes from, like this hypersensitivity to needing to be heard and express displeasure. How much of that do you feel is kind of a byproduct of the pressure to get attention or be recruited or be talked about or to have hard work behind the scenes of said student athlete validated? Like, how much of that is like the spawn of, I just want my kid to, and then fill in the blank?
I think a lot of it. I've spent this much money on my kid, so
I'll say, but where is that pressure coming from?
I'm just trying to get behind.
I get it.
Peel back the onion a little bit.
But the pressure is self-imposed most of the time, right?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I think
you don't think the pressure. The parents are putting a lot of that pressure on themselves and their kid.
Okay,
that's what I mean by
you mean adult?
100%.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like,
yes, 100%.
There shouldn't be any there's no inherent outside force that's saying if your kid is not recruited, then his time as an athlete in high school was totally wasted.
Okay, yeah.
That's not true.
Okay.
Now, parents may feel that way.
I understand.
Parents may have spent tens of thousands of dollars on AAU and training facilities and whatever for their kid that's 5'9" with an 18-inch vertical and is probably never going to play in the NBA, right? But that's a self-imposed pressure from the parents. That is not coming from the outside, right? Correct. That's where I have a problem with. Okay, yeah, there is a lot of pressure, and that might be what's causing a lot of this behavior, but 100%. They are the calls coming from inside the house.
100%. 100%. You're totally right. Ravi, you're totally right. I was just going to say the same thing.
I'm going to put that on the T-shirt.
The people that spend the money, the parents that spend the money for their kids or whatever, and their time and all this stuff, they want the attention and they want this and they want the kids recruited, and it's a lot. Like,
and half the time it's not even what the kids want.
Correct.
That's
absolutely
the real problem, right? Is they're doing it. They're not doing it for their kids. There are parents, and I know these parents, right? Because I coached college ball for almost a decade, right? I know there are parents that do everything to put their kids in a position to succeed, and whatever happens, and they're cool with it, right? But then there's the parents that feel like the kids owe them something for giving them those opportunities, and that's where it gets dicey.
My only pushback on that, because he's making a point, Mike, and I'm gonna let you go here to answer this, but sometimes I think it's peer to peer. Well, I see, Widener getting this attention. She's probably a bad example because she's pretty good, but I see player blank getting this attention. I'm pretty good too. Like, what's wrong with me? Like, there is some of that too.
Some, sure,
right?
I don't think that's the core of the problem.
No, but I'm you know what I'm saying though? Like,
I do.
Well, I think when there's a little vitriol or Timmy Turtle comes home and he's like, Dad, Padilla and Sautter talked about, Steven, and like, why are they not seeing me? And that could be said to a parent like 2 or 3 times. And at some point, whatever the threshold is, when that parent sees you, or maybe they don't say anything to you, but that promotes the sentiment about how they feel you're doing your job. Like, that can be a thing too. Because as a parent, when you think your kid is going through that, like, your natural inclination, I mean, some parents will be like, hey man, just stay the course, do this, do that. But sometimes, like, not everybody is a perfect parent where they're experienced or savvy enough or have been through it where they can like reconcile it in the moment and say, hey, listen, Jerry, calm down, man. Like, that's Pete's deal. You handle your business. You stay in the lab. You do your thing. Don't worry about that. Like, there's not always going to be that perfect response either.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I think we have to allow some grace for growth, but it's why we have to have these conversations, because it is, just look at all the films of people coming out of the stands and being like the last 3 or 4 years. We were in Wichita 5 years ago, and I watched Dan Eaton get tackled. Right? Like, I mean, it's like, so this has kind of been brewing.
It's escalating.
It's kind of been brewing, but I think you have to get to what some of the cores of the issues are, so you can be preventative and not proactive.
I will say this for me and how I've always done it. And if people, hey, I don't talk about every single kid on every single team every day or every game I go to, and like, you just can't, right? Mm-hmm. So how I go about doing things when it comes to basketball, you will notice whoever the leading scorer is per quarter, if I'm live tweeting a game, that's who gets mentioned. And 9 times out of 10, I would say probably more like 99.999% of the time, at the end of the game, it is, if you scored in double figures, I mention you. Mm-hmm. Like, that's the like threshold. So it's not like there's an actual reason for it. It's not just like, oh yeah, I don't like that kid, I'm not going to talk about him. No, like it isn't anything of that. So that's just my way of doing things and my general rule about doing things. But it comes from home. Like, let's be honest. I sat there I'm guilty of it a little bit too. I sat there in my 7-year-old YMCA game, sitting in the corner, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like talking under my breath about like, but it's not, and it's more of like my kids play. It is, I'm disappointed in like, geez, she can't catch a basketball right now. Oh, like it's a little frustrating. I just because of what I do, obviously in public figure, whatever that may be, I will never like stand up and yell and cuss at a ref and stuff like that. That just, if I'm ever that, I'll just retire from being in public eye 100%. One thing that I can say though is, if you notice inside of Pinnacle Bank Arena, you know who can't hear you cussing at them or yelling obscenities or whatever it may be?
The players.
The players and the referees and the coaches. They cannot hear you. Like, if you are 15 rows up or 10 or even 3, they probably can't hear you. It's kind of a long ways away. No one can hear you, but everyone can see you. Everyone can see you.
Let me ask
no
you,
one can hear you, though. No one can hear you.
let's help. Let's continue to try to help parents here for a second. So my guy T-Mac, he brings up something interesting. And he says the cost for youth sports continues to rise and the expectations for parents continue to rise with it. He says when you're on bigger stages, is it basically okay to have a certain expectation level? You know what I mean?
No.
Yeah.
No, because they're still children.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
I don't know, Ravi. I
don't know about that.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Damon here. Like, if you're on a certain, if your kid makes a certain travel team or summer team or whatever it may be, there's a certain level of expectation that the coaching is going to be different.
And he's using track. He's using like regionals and nationals.
Yeah.
Okay,
track,
you're talking
right?
about okay. We were talking about different things. You're talking about you expect if you're paying a certain amount, you expect a level of coaching.
Like
to
if we're in Fayetteville and there's a $45 fee, and it's not weekend, it's by the day.
That's ridiculous, by the way.
Yeah. Remember that?
That's
so you expect the officiating.
So
to be
do
at
I?
a certain level.
Should I? Do I?
Right.
Do you think the officiating should be at a certain?
That's fair. Yes.
Okay.
I thought you were saying, okay, if I pay this amount of money, I should be able to expect this from my kid or from other kids. And that I don't think is true. If you want to say, hey, I'm paying X amount of money, I expect a certain amount of expertise from the coach, fair. Or I'm paying this amount of money for a tournament, I expect a certain level from the referees, fair. But you still have the issue of how you deal with it if those expectations are not met.
So, Mike, I'm curious though. I mean, we saw some great, like DC West and Auburn go down to the wire. Ogallala gets it to 4 before Wahoo pulls. Like there were some games yesterday, but in your in your deal, like your takeaway from yesterday was, you're disappointed in people,
right?
It was on. I couldn't believe, like Sam tweeted it from the World Herald, and I was like, this must have really been a thing.
It was a thing.
Was it?
Like, oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Like I am ignorant.
Which stinks. It stinks because it overshadowed think about this.
There were good games yesterday.
There were several.
And it overshadows the entire day of everything that happened. Not only that, in that particular game, George Zebo had a career-high 19 points and had 8 straight in the fourth quarter to lead his team to coming back after being down 9 points in the fourth quarter. That's what people should be talking about. But here we are. We spent 18 minutes, 17 minutes talking about everything but what happened on the court, like the actual game.
That's because you were taken aback.
I know, but like, and it's not your fault. It's not my fault. It's not Ravi's fault that's what we had to talk about. But that's what we should have talked about for 17 minutes. 100%. Like today, we should have talked about it. It was a big deal. Like if the superintendent,
this isn't isolated. This is a growing problem.
Yeah. If the superintendent or president or whatever has to issue a statement, that's a big deal. Like it's a big deal. Like that's too much. Like we're too over the top with it. Anyway, basketball games were great yesterday. Class B was very exciting. And how about Jacob's guy, Nate Kelly? That kid's good, man.
Hey, so I feel like we were having NEB preps all over again. He is so Team Kelly, but I know why, right? Some of those plays that he would call to get him he would have the decision making at the ends of games for him in the summer. And sure enough, it's like Kelly does it again.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he was great. And if you looked at warm-ups, you'd be like, Scotswood, no way, man. Like they're small, they ain't got no size, none of that. And then they're good. Like they got some good they got some good players. B will be pretty interesting. You know, the first time Crete and Scott played, it was like 7-point game. It was close. And that was Crete fully healthy, and they're not now. So that will be very interesting. And Brock Scholl, I don't know.
He's one of my. I'm a big.
He had to have broken his nose. I swear.
I'm a big fan. Big fan.
The nose was just dripping blood. Like if he didn't break it, I don't know what happened. But him to fight through that and play through that, had some big shots, hit a big three. He's been killing it. He's getting some help. He's getting some help too, seeing the floor. Like he's pretty skilled passing the basketball yesterday too. Right. Kyle Cannon had a big shot. If they can get outside perimeter shooting from their guards at Scott, like watch out, right? Like it's something pretty good. Now they're old, they're strong, they're big, all those things. Like they're extremely well coached. I'm Team Siskey all the way. Have been for a while since he's been in Scottsbluff. But
my dark horse was eliminated yesterday. Now this was before I saw the draws, so I didn't know DC West was gonna have Auburn. But I was like, I really like, and I'm a little biased because I know some of the guys over there. But I'm like, I kind of like DC West. Brutal to see Auburn early, and again, another binder doing binder things. He was extra efficient yesterday.
Mav is having a great year. Wish we would have, actually been able to see how great of a year if they would put their statistics in Max Press. But that's for something else.
Hey, talk to Coach Weeks is your guy, man. So
he is, man.
that's a pick. You could pick up the phone and say, "Hey, Coach, man, I know you win a lot, but HBO, help a brother out."
He ain't never doing that. That guy scout like.
Coach Frank didn't like it either. I get it.
Yeah, but back to the conversation we had at the beginning, you're not helping your kids. You're kind of hurting them if that's your job. Anyway, the Auburn Ashland Greenwood game will be like, talk about like a war. Like defensively, both teams are so good, like really good, very well coached. It'll probably be low scoring and everyone will talk about shot clocks and whatever. But hey, before we do that, let's maybe look at how good they are defensively, because both teams are extremely good defensively. And that one. And then the first one to this morning in an hour and 40 minutes is Wahoo Concordia. And that's a little bit different styles there.
Glock continues to get to the free throw line, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He's not missing many of those either. He was 8 of 9 yesterday. What happens tonight in our preview? Is it an inevitable clash of the perceived Titans, 1 versus 2?
Hold on, Mike. Can you hang on? Can you come back in at the next break here?
Not really. I gotta get to the gym.
All right, hurry up. You got 30 seconds. Go.
Yeah. Bellevue West, Millard North. Obviously, that's what everyone wants to see. I don't know. Westside played pretty dang good, and I'm not sure Central defensively they can hang with them. And it was close with Bellevue West the last time they played. You could see one upset there.
All right, that's Mike Sautter, Hurrdat Sports. Make sure you follow along on his Twitter and NEB Preps for all the coverage of state basketball.
Jerome had to get going.
He did have to get going. I was hoping we could have him for another segment. That's okay, though. We will have more Hurrdat Sports coming up next.